Thank you, Mr Speaker. I rise to take the second call for the Subordinate Legislation Confirmation and Validation Bill number 2. As discussed...
excuse me, you said is this a split call or is this a...
Split call, sir.
Split call? 5 minute. 5 minute split call.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. A point of order, Amy.
Labor does not intend to take its call, so the Green member can take as long as she likes.
Thank you very much, sir. As discussed, this is a reasonably straightforward bill, and it's essentially the tool to ensure that regulations that are contained in the primary acts are confirmed and validated. A good part of this bill has a focus on issues to do with regulations which have levies in them, and they refer to the Biosecurity Act 1993, the Civil Aviation Act of 1990, the Commodities Levy Act 1990, Customs and Excise Act 1996, with regulations that prohibit the importation of 10 kilograms or more of trout or trout products for a further 3 years, and increases the duties on tobacco and alcohol. The Land Transport Act of 1998, the New Zealand Superannuation and Retirement Income Act of 2001, and the Social Security Act of 1964, the Road User Charges Act of 2012, the War Pensions Act of 1954, and of course the Gambling Act of 2003, and this is where I will focus my comments. This Act confirms the gambling, bracket, problem gambling levy, end bracket, regulations 2013, which is the levy that is paid by gambling operators to cover the cost of problem gambling. This is the amount of money that is paid by casinos, pokie machine operators, the Lotteries Commission and the New Zealand Racing Board to the Commissioner of the Inland Revenue Department, and it's passed through them to the Ministry of Health, to the agencies that deal with problem gambling. Now, it's pretty ironic that this bill is being put to the House today when the Gambling Harm Reduction Bill that was brought to the House by Māori Party Te Ururo Flavel is being discussed in committee of the whole House later today. Now, that was a bill that would have really made some changes in reducing the incidence of problem gambling. However, once it was brought back to the House, it was essentially gutted of all its good bits that would have dealt with the problem gambling issue. But back to this bill and the gambling levy. There is a consultative process undertaken before the levy is set. The gambling industry, the pokie machine owners, the casino owners, lotteries, they all get involved and attempt to justify why they shouldn't have to pay very much for problem gambling. Usually they trot out the argument that in this country we spend more per capita on problem gambling services than any other country in the world. Well, of course they want to pay less for the gambling levy because that will increase their profits. The levy is negotiated every 3 years and is based on a Ministry of Health strategy that deals with problem gambling. And it's interesting that when this levy was being negotiated, the Ministry of Health recommended a substantial increase in the levy paid by the casino operators. Now, the reason for this was that research by the Ministry of Health has shown that a person is more likely, 5 times more likely in fact, to develop a problem with pokies that are located in casinos than they are in pokies in pubs and clubs. However, the casino industry are extremely successful in their negotiations, and they have continued to pay a levy which is approximately half of what other pokie owners pay. That is an interesting fact. Another interesting fact about this levy is that while it is determined to pay for problem gambling, it doesn't actually pay for the results of problem gambling. So, for example, this levy does not cover the food banks that are dealing on a daily basis with people fronting up because they have no money because they have spent it on the pokies. This levy does not cover the crime that is associated with problem gambling and the businesses who lose money and the not-for-profits who lose money because their staff have stolen it and spent it on the pokies. This levy doesn't pay for that. I guess I've made my point about this levy, and we will be supporting this bill, but I did want to take the time to talk about the problem gambling levy. Thank you.
Dr. Jiang Yang.